Hey guys, welcome back to the Cricket Exchange. Um, just a few days back, we were so excited back here in our preview of the World Test Championship Finals, the ultimate test. So, for us Indian fans, it's a bit muted right now, despite the frustratingly start and stop game for the first 3 days. And we did end up having a full game, though it was just for 4 days. But we have now ended up on the losing side, and therefore, for us Indian fans, it's a bit muted, like I said. We have Rohan and Salim with us on this episode, and we'll quickly move to them. So let's hear from them about the ultimate test and all the emotions and the insights from our passionate buddies here. Salim, firstly to you. I mean, you're one of the most passionate and vocal fans among us, and I'm sure you have a lot of things to say about how Indians fared in the the heartbreaking loss in the ultimate test. So please give us a quick summary and key takeaways from the ultimate test. Over to you.
Look, man, I don't want to mince any words. You guys saw the test as well. Working backwards, I thought India's batting, for me, where we really lost it was the third innings, right? The sixth day. When India played, I would call one of the most shambolic couple of sessions ever in recent times. Given the kind of pedigree we have, given the kind of recent performances we've had in test, that was a terrible session. Starting all the way from Kohli to Pujara to Rahane, even Jadeja and Ashwin. I just thought our batting performance in India's second innings was pathetic. I don't want to mince any words. And also, if you look at if you look at even the team composition, for example, I know we went in with two spinners and we announced the team 2 days ahead of the match, and then the weather turned really cloudy and rainy. So I still was wondering, why did we go with two spinners? And you saw that Jadeja was largely underbowled. Of course, we took Jadeja because we wanted that batting all rounder. And
The batting cushion,
unfortunately,
sure.
exactly. And Jadeja didn't do a great job with the bat either. I mean, sometimes I begin to wonder, are we carrying Jadeja based on reputation or like, on pure test cricket batting pedigree? So that was another huge bummer. And even our bowling, right? I mean, most bowlers would lick their lips in anticipation of, the cloud, the weather, the pitches, and all of that. I thought our bowling came a cropper in many ways. Of course, in the first innings, somehow we managed to, get them out, and they got a lead of around 32. But if you remember, we had them 6 or 7 down, and the last 3 wickets added a lot of runs. So I just felt a huge amount of frustration. Why? Because if you look back to that famous Australia tour, right, where we smacked Australia in Australia with almost a seaside or a tier three side, starting from that sort of a high to come back here and almost make a no-show out of it. Very disappointing. I do have a lot of cribs about Kohli, both as the test batsman and Kohli as the captain, but I'll kind of hold on and let Rohan kind of reflect a little bit more on it if he wants to add in.
Yeah. So before we go to Rohan, Salim, I thought it's a bit unfair, of course, the bowling unit did not do so well, but, I thought Shami was outstanding. He stood out among both the teams. But again, as a team overall, I think the bowling was a big letdown. So is that a bit of a disappointment for Shami?
Look, see, even Shami, like I've been saying this a lot, that the three bowlers that we picked more or less have a similar style, right? They kind of bang the ball in. Bumrah, Shami, and Ishant. They kind of bang the ball in short of a length and hope that the ball works off the pitch, right? The hard seam, Duke ball, and all of that. I think we erred in not taking Siraj because I feel, given the limitation of the squad, Siraj was that one guy who would like comparatively pitch it up a little bit more and probably get more purchase of the air. So I thought that was a big miss. Yes, Shami did a good job and sort of covered up, but Bumrah again was a big letdown. Somebody put up some statistics saying that Bumrah in the Champions Trophy gave away 10 over 68 runs, and in both innings here, Bumrah went wicketless, and I just felt he was completely off color. And I mean, he just kept trying the same thing again and again. Of course, he got lucky with the unlucky with the drop catch. But yeah, I think bowling was a little bit of a bummer as well. But it was the batting in India's second innings which was a real disappointment.
Rohan, your thoughts and emotions in summarizing the test, the ultimate test?
Yeah, sorry guys, I just had a delivery, so I had to
That's way
quickly
of
step out.
life.
So
Absolutely.
Salim has already covered everything. We batted poorly, we bowled poorly, right? Um, I think I was particularly disappointed with our bowling effort as well. I was also particularly disappointed with our batting effort as well. So basically, I think there is so much negative for me to say now that I'm just going to again say not much, right? For example, our bowlers, everybody knew after the first innings and also after you know the two New Zealand innings of bowling is that the way to bowl in these conditions is to bowl really, really full. Let them drive. In fact, make them drive. A few boundaries go here and there. Doesn't matter. But that is when you get the ball to move the most. Right? Our bowlers were all trying to hit the deck. Even if you're a hit the deck kind of a bowler, right? Shami, after his first innings exploits, that terrific spell, he himself said that, when I was releasing the ball, it was swinging. When I was hitting the ball, it was not really swinging. It was sort of angling in. And then in the second innings, what does he do? Right? He was mostly hitting. He wasn't mostly bowling full. He wasn't mostly releasing the ball, letting it swing. Those are the conditions. That is how you adapt, right? And also another thing is that New Zealand are naturally, right, even when they are fully garbled up in their head, they are naturally used to these conditions. All of their bowlers, even Wagner, who isn't really, I wouldn't call him
Swing bowler.
a release and a swing kind of a bowler like their other three bowlers were. He was also just bowling either really full or really short, nothing in between. You don't need to bowl anything in between on these pitches. Anything that is in between, the in between good length or slightly back of a length, just looks very nice, doesn't get you any wickets. Jasprit Bumrah will tell you that. It works in T20 internationals because you are trying to make the batsman not score. You
Correct.
aren't you aren't trying to get
You're not really
wickets.
testing him.
In test matches,
Correct.
you're trying to get wickets. So I mean, I could go on and on and on and on. I'm terribly disappointed, but again, I'm not pessimistic about the team itself. I'm not pessimistic about what is to come ahead. So we will see how we go.
I just
Rohan,
want to,
yeah.
Madhu, I want to call something out, right? This is something which has been running in my head for the last 4 years. I just want to pour it out. When was the last time that Virat Kohli stood up in a crucial crunch game? I mean, forget all these Sri Lanka tours and these fancy bilateral white ball matches and all that. If you take your mind back all the way, 2015 World Cup semi-finals, he gets bounced out by Mitch Johnson. 2017 Champions Trophy, Mohammad Amir gets him out. 2019 World Cup semi-finals, again he gets out to Trent Bolt. That entire Australia tour when they toured us in 2017 17 and Steve Smith's captaincy, all three tests he flopped. I don't think he got more than 13 any of those. Of course, he did well in the 2018 Australia tour. This recent Australia visit as well, right? He just played in the first test, got a 70, then the famous 36. He just hasn't stood up. I mean, I'm not even going into IPL. If you look into the IPL records as well, he's nothing great. You can take any other regular domestic guy and he would have done better. I really think that is a matter of concern. Virat Kohli, the personality, the Instagram star, the smooth talker in press conferences, the gracious captain after losing,
The biggest
all
cricket
that is
superstar in
fine.
India. Correct.
But Virat Kohli, the batsman, the performer in crunch games, crunch ICC games, I really don't know where that guy has gone. He's just completely vanished. I pray and hope I'm proven wrong in the England series, which starts now. And more importantly, in the 2020 World Cup, which is slotted towards the end of the year. But I just feel this is, a decline. Even the great Tendulkar had a decline, but he very quickly, did something, worked it around, worked things around. But this guy clearly is in a decline.
So if I may just add to that point, Celine, I think the way I understand Virat Kohli as a fan, as a cricket follower, I think it is what seems to be missing is the stake game, right? I think all of the talk that he has had had to do out of, outside the playing field. He has had to tell everyone that it is just another match. We will go there and we will give it our best. It's not a big deal. We've always done well. All of that is nice to make sure that people are not under a lot of pressure. But what about himself? I think he is someone who thrives under pressure. By saying all of that, subconsciously, at the back of his mind, he's not really caring about it, right?
Yep.
So I mean, I'm not really accusing him of being flippant here, right? But I mean, you can clearly see in his batting. Okay, I don't see him batting like his life depends on it. This World Test Championship finals, especially the second innings, right, is what Test cricketers live for. It was like possibly the biggest match in all of their careers, the biggest Test match, certainly, right? Where was the application? Right? You can make a mistake, but where is the application? Really, really try and not make a mistake. Where is the tightness? Right? The Pujara that we used to see, bat like his life depended on it. The kind of innings that we've seen Rahul Dravid play so many times, the kind of innings that Ashwin and Vihari played at Sydney, like their lives depended on it, right? A batter of the caliber of Virat Kohli needs to have that kind of a mentality, needs to have that kind of, a need, a want to apply himself. I think that is where it is missing. He needs to go, beyond the words. Let maybe Ravi Shastri do the talking. Let maybe Rahane do the talking. He needs to focus on his cricket, right? Taking the captaincy away from him is an option, but maybe not the right thing to do quite yet, right? Because I think we as a country need Virat Kohli, the batsman, the batter, more than we really need Virat Kohli to be spending his time trying to be captain, trying to be nice, trying to be, saying fancy things and saying credit to them every time we lose. Right.
Rohan, Salim has brought in a very important point on Kohli's form, especially in very critical, crunch games. Is there some science behind it really in terms of, Kohli's form on the wane because of his age? Is it possible? He's already into his 30s now.
So more than the age, I think also because every team that we play with know that Virat Kohli is one of the best batsmen in the world, certainly the best batter in our 11. Every bowling attack would have, mentally prepared how they are going to bowl to Virat Kohli. Every single delivery, every bowler the previous night would be visualizing and thinking about every time how to get him out with the ball coming in, LBW, in, and then out, getting him to nick off, right? These are his typical modes of dismissal, right? I don't know, maybe Wagner was also trying to see if he can or should be bouncing Virat, because nobody after, that Australia tour has tried to bounce Virat out. So one of the biggest reasons is that the bowlers focus a lot on him. You could sort of flip it and say that maybe that is why Bumrah has gone wicketless, because the opposition has really focused on him as being the main bowler that they need to be aware of, right? There are obviously all sorts of things at play, right? These are excellent cricketers, maybe even great cricketers. Virat Kohli is definitely one of the all-time greats, right? And I say this again, I think we need the batter more than we need any other version of it.
Absolutely. Salim, back to the ultimate test. Before the start, like you said, India announced the team 2 days in advance, and we saw that New Zealand didn't have a spinner. In the last test, they had Ajax Patel, who did a fantastic job, but then they went ahead without a spinner, and India had 2 spinners. So I mean, look at New Zealand's confidence. They really knew what they were doing. While on the contrary, the media and the perception was that India knew it better, and they went ahead with 2 spinners. So your thoughts?
See, look, I think to be fair to the Indian team, the choice was who's going to be your number 7. Do you go with a pure batsman? Do you go with a spinning all-rounder, or do you go with a fast bowling all-rounder? So the options they essentially had were Vihari for number 7, or Jadeja for number 7, And then on the only fast bowling all-rounder whom Kohli incidentally forgot to even mention is good old Shardul Thakur, the hero of Gabba. So
Absolutely.
they made a very clear kind of a comparison. Who can bat, who can get me those 20-30 runs, right? Bare minimum. So I think in their assessment, they thought, chalo, Jadeja has done sort of well, in 2019 World Cup along with Dhoni. He can get you 20-30 runs batting at number 7. He can also save 10 runs through his electric fielding.
Sure.
And because he's a lefty and he takes the ball away, he can also be effective against batsmen. Right? Shardul, I think in Virat's, and that's one of the complaints I have against Virat, is that he, in his mind, I think has categorized, let's say, the likes of a Shardul as a tier 3 player straight away. I don't think Shardul was even part of the 15-member squad.
He wasn't.
So Shardul was out, right? So the only other option, therefore, was either Vihari or Jadeja. They went to Jadeja, which on paper looked okay because Jadeja, the batsman, is still sort of okay. The outside chance would have been to play Siraj, but then playing 4 seamers, that would have made the tail a lot longer. So I think they went with the team, and I think if Jadeja had also applied himself a little better, in the first innings, you remember, he got out one of those annoying leg side flicks.
Yeah. Frustrating.
So, yeah, that's how it was.
No, so essentially what you're saying is, the balance that needed to be brought to a batting or maybe, the middle order. So that kind of dictated whom we have in as a bowling all-rounder or a spinner. Vis-a-vis New Zealand, which had, maybe 6 strong batsmen and 1 genuine all-rounder, maybe.
That's correct.
Great. Rohan, just another, this is a kind of a fan question. So you have 1.4 billion Indians, and you have 5 million New Zealanders. The 5 million New Zealanders had 3 genuine swing bowlers, and India literally had none. So is there really? I mean, how much are we missing Bhuvi kind of bowler in such circumstances? Why can't we have Bhuvis?
We have Siraj. Siraj is somewhat close. Anyway, I'll let Rohan answer that.
Yeah, so Bhuvi is certainly in my books, the number 1 swing bowler. Definitely. I would actually rate him better than, many other swing bowlers, many bowlers in the world across conditions, but certainly in swinging conditions, he's number 1. So maybe they did not pick him because they still feel that maybe he isn't fit enough to be bowling those long spells, right? But obviously, if we had Bhuvi, I think not only the result would have been close, I think the result might even have been different. Given the personnel that we had on the day, I think we went with the best team that we could have. I have no complaints with that. In hindsight, we can see that, probably Jadeja was underutilized because he was our 5th bowler and because they have so many, left armers. And, by the way, Ashwin bowled just so well, right? I think even Ashwin was slightly underbowled, but that was also because of the fact that these were all low scoring matches, fewer overs bowled, seaming and swinging conditions. You want your top 3, seamers to be bowling there, which is why Ashwin was always bowler number 4 and then Jadeja was bowler number 5. So it's all down to the conditions at that point in time, whatever the team management felt should have been our best 11. And I think at TCX, we had also originally said and agreed that, these are our top 5 bowlers.
Sure.
This is our top 11. That's what we should go with. That's what we went with. In terms of performance only, a country of 1.3 billion and a country of 50 million, we didn't quite perform as well. It is as simple as that.
I also want to call out one thing which I thought was very obvious to the eye, and a lot of it was COVID driven, which is I just thought this was one of the most lopsided, preparedness that 2 teams have had. New Zealand on one hand reached England ahead of time, did not have the same hard quarantine that we had. They played 2 proper tests with the proper England squad in England. India, on the other hand, prior to this, had no test experience. No, they hadn't played a test match after the England series at home. Did hard quarantine in England when they reached, and then played an intra-squad match, and then straight away played with New Zealand. So I just felt it was a little way too lopsided. But of course, these, like as Rohan says, these are the uncontrollables, right? You can't do much with it and get on. But I just felt that the balance was not right. But let's move on, Madhu. Let's see what else do you have for us.
Great. So we move to the next question now, where we'll try to use our local boy, Rohan, his expertise, with cricket in the UK. Rohan, this is more from a player's perspective. So how frustrating was this whole stop-start, game? and the weather, as well as the contrast of conditions between days. One day was all gloomy, and the sixth day, the reserve day, day 5 of the, or day 4 of the test, was all sunny and beautiful to bat. So did this discontinuity in the game affect some players more than the others from a performance perspective? Did Kiwis have an edge on this front?
So as a player, if I know that it's going to rain, which I'm sure all of them knew, even we at TCX knew that it's probably going to be raining all the time. So if I know that it's going to rain, as a player, I am mentally prepared. Okay. However, knowing that it's going to rain and telling oneself that I know it's going to rain is not the same as switching off every time you come out and then instantly switching back on as soon as you go back on. Now, every time there is a break, right, and a player switches off and then back and then has to switch back on when they go in, they take a little time to maybe, not only warm up physically, but warm up mentally. Okay. And then start doing things the way that they need to do in those conditions. For New Zealand, those conditions were very close to home conditions. Therefore, even when they were going back and they hadn't fully switched on yet, their default position in terms of batting or bowling was playing in those conditions. So they were obviously, better suited to the conditions. But all of the, we are all splitting hair. That's not the reason why we lost. And I think we had enough days, enough time to get enough number of overs. We did not bat well enough, did not bowl well enough, did not deserve to win. I don't think we even deserve to, get a draw, especially after the way our batters batted in the second innings. Sorry, Salim, go ahead.
No, I think conditions got completely cancelled out simply by the fact that day 6, when we started day 6, it was a nice, bright day. Okay. So absolutely. Everything that happened before that, even the same stuff, I'm contradicting myself, reaching England, hard quarantine, none of that mattered, because all that, to Rohan's point, all that India had to do is we started 64 for 2, effectively 32 for 2, nice, bright, sunny conditions. You had to bat out 2 full sessions. That's it. Maybe even if you scored 70 and 70, 140 in those 2 sessions and add your 32 overnight, 172 as a target for England in the last New Zealand in the last session, surely a draw. I mean, all we had to do is bat 2 sessions. We did not. That's where, this whole start stops, which actually doesn't matter anymore, because had day 6 been cloudy and all of that, yes, point taken. Day 6 was smooth, no? Straightforward, sun was there, you bat well, boss. Those sessions you have to bat. So, yeah.
I agree.
So having touched upon this, Salim, we heard Kohli talk about, how the ultimate test should be a series instead of just a one-off match. I mean, on the face of it, it looks silly, but then, his point is, a 2-year window of cricket culminating in just 5 days, does it really make sense? That was his thought. So do you think there's some, scope to have maybe a series instead of the ultimate test going forward?
I mean, look, on paper it may look good, but I think there's a charm. The whole concept of a final is that there is an element of unpredictability in the fact that you're playing a one-off final, right? That adds a charm of its own. Yes, schedule permitting and all of that, if all of, it just fits in, maybe a 3-test series, okay. But even then, right, you will always have this thing. What if the first 2 tests you win 1 each and the third one is a draw? Then what do you do, right? And why only best of 3? Let's play best of 5, right? That can be another way to look at it.
Sure.
I think the way to go forward is, one of the suggestions I saw on Twitter was, whoever stands first, qualifies first, that team should get the right to host the finals. That could be one way to do this, right?
Sure.
Here, that's one option. The second option is you play it in a proper neutral place like a Dubai or a UAE, which again, Dubai, UAE, everybody knows is not like a classic test place to play, the finals of the WTC. So there are ways to overcome that. But again, to your point, or rather to Rohan's point at the beginning, I think these were all excuses that I think Virat Kohli has been giving to people before this test started. And I suspect he may have given this in his talk even to the team, saying, "Koi farak nahi padta. It's okay. We played well for 2.5 years. He said, whether we lose or win, we're still number 1." I just think these are like, somebody said, sour grapes, right? Or it's like rock, paper, scissors. You lose once, you want to play best of 3 again. So I don't see any merit in that. You lost, move on.
Fair point. Rohan, your thoughts?
Yeah, exactly that. Nothing more to add. But obviously, if we actually look forward now, right, to maybe the India-England series, right? So what's going to happen there? Purely based upon the performance that we saw at Southampton, I think we stand no chance against a full strength England team playing in England. However, right, I would say that there is a decent chance that we'll actually do quite well, right? I think there is more chance that we could get wiped off. It is always possible, unless we have one or two or maybe three batters who can really play each innings like their life depends on it. That
Sure.
is
No,
how
yes,
you
it is.
play in test matches.
No, you're absolutely right. That's the thought that's been running in my head as well. I think suddenly my opinion has changed. Normally we say 20 wickets we need to win a test, right? I think now we need 3 out of the 11 batsmen to bat 200 deliveries each. I'm just like throwing out a random number. Unless you see the confidence. I mean, you saw how Pujara and Rahane played, right? Of course, Rahane played well for his 49 in the first innings. But to Rohan's point, they didn't have the desperation. I think something was off mentally. Pujara, every ball that Pujara played, I had my heart in my mouth because he didn't look like somebody who could survive that ball, right? On the contrary, if you look at how well Kane Williamson batted in the first innings, I don't know if you guys
God of
know,
batting. Seriously.
4.5 to 5 hours of batting for his 49, right?
Intense.
Remarkable.
Absolutely. Stunning.
Even, I mean, everybody knows how well he batted in the second innings, right? Even small things like, he would just open the bat a little bit, play it with soft hands, get
Softer
behind the
hand.
ball, leave the
Absolutely.
ball. I want that sort of an application in the England series. If we don't see that, forget it. There's no chance. As it is, our tail doesn't wag. Openers, sort of okay. Gill looked a little shaky, but we'll give him time. But it's your 3, 4, 5. If they're not solid, forget it. Like Rohan said, it's a washout.
Yeah.
Sure, sure.
So we always say that we need to take 20 wickets, like Salim said, to win. But similarly, the opposition also needs to take 20 wickets. Our 20 wickets to win, right? If we can if we can bat well enough to not be out 20 times, then the opposition isn't going to win. So
Rohan,
that is
with the
another.
opposition doesn't even need 20 wickets. In our case, bottom ke 4 nikal do tum. It's like 7 and 7, 14 wickets. That's all they need. Not even 7, 12 or whatever, 12 or 14 wickets. And in those 12, 14, if you're Pujara, Rahane,
3,
and
4, 5.
Kohli, they keep
Yeah.
getting out cheaply, wo bacha kya hai? Then you and I have to go and bat.
See, like I mentioned in the beginning, I mean, the more we discuss about the ultimate test and India's performance, I think we feel a little jarred about things. So this last question on the ultimate test, Rohan and Salim can both take their turns. So, how does the ultimate test now compare to other classic, test matches in the past in terms of thrills, the quality of the game, some top-notch performers from the ultimate test against some past champion performances like a Ben Stokes or a Pant or maybe some bowlers as well.
Hello, 1 minute. First of all, I don't know why you're harping about this ultimate test. There was nothing ultimate about it, at least from an India perspective.
Yeah,
of course,
from an Indian perspective, yes, but it was.
No, I think on a lighter note, yeah. But I know it's the first time ever in our history that we've had a World Test Championship final. So perfect. Yeah, I get that. Look, I feel compared to other classics, this does not match up as a classic simply because one side was completely off color, especially if you compare the second innings of both teams, right? It was completely off color and the whole start-stop thing. That said, I think we're doing grave injustice to the Kiwi team because we've spent 95% of our time talking about India and not talking so much about New Zealand because I thought New Zealand had a fantastic game. So for me, if I were to pick a few performances, I think the whole match was not a classic, not by any stretch of imagination, but a few classic moments for me clearly revolved around the way Jamieson bowled in the first innings and the way Jamieson changed the game on day 6, taking Kohli and Pujara out. That to me was class. I mean, if you guys remember, Jamieson bowled 44 overs in this test. I think 24 out of those were maidens. He just gave away 67 runs and I think he gave 1.8 was his thing and he took 7 wickets. And let's not forget his 21 or whatever. He hits a 21.
Outstanding. Yeah, yeah.
So to me, Jamieson was a class act. Besides that, yes, there were a lot of good performances from Bolt and all of that. But compared to the other tests, I thought this didn't really match up. Again, because it's a one-off test. The other tests that you're talking about are part of a bigger series, right? Either a 3-test, 4-test, or 5-test
Sure,
series.
sure.
So a lot of build-up is there to each of those classics before that match occurred.
So Rohan, what about your favorite Conway? Please, some words about him. I'm sure he did a fantastic job.
Yeah. He's just so good. I'm always gushing about him, right? So he's just so good in his technique. He's so good mentally. The way the way he really seems to be applying himself at the crease these days, right? So yeah, so I think I've spoken enough about Conway. I think we have seen enough from him to know that he's going to be up there, right? Although he might have started playing international cricket and definitely test cricket a little bit later on than maybe some of the others have. So yeah, so Devon Conway, definitely one of their future stars, right? Yeah, and what about Ross Taylor? He was so good as well, right?
Legend.
Now, yeah, so the way Ross Taylor applied himself in the second innings is what I'm talking about. Play like your life depends on it. He did that, right? That was not his natural game. It is so far away from a naturally fluent Ross Taylor innings. But well, what needs to be done needs to be done. You have to come out of your comfort zone to be able to win, right? How good is Wagner, right? How skillful is Saudi? In, out, wobbled seam, right? How good was BJ Watling behind the stumps? He did not really bat that well in the only innings in which he was able to bat his farewell test, right? A phenomenal wicketkeeper batter for New Zealand. His performance behind the stumps was really good, right? Very polished. Apparently, he had a broken finger. He still continued to keep as well, right?
How awesome
and
was it?
and I mean, I don't really think they needed Bolt at all, right? The key difference between the two teams, as Salim has said, was Jamieson. You take Jamieson out, the match completely changes color, right? You put Bhuvi in, match completely changes color. It's all about, well, that is the beauty, isn't it? It's about sorry, go on.
No, finish up.
Yeah, so it's about which personnel you have in your 11 on that given day with that Duke's ball in those conditions playing the test match. Who is fit, who's not fit, who's releasing well, who's not releasing well, right? Who has got presence of mind, right? Who is applying all that they have learned, right? Who is not shy of standing outside the crease. Gill's innings in the first innings was so good. Shubman Gill showed that he is definitely the future. Rohit's innings in the second innings was also so good, right? So there are loads of positives for us to take away. We have, again, coming back to India, obviously, right? That we have enough gas in the tank, enough number of class players in the squad to actually do quite well in the test series against England as well.
So Rohan stole words from me because I felt the one silver lining in this was Rohit Sharma as the test opener. The first time, I think, first innings, Gill and Rohit Sharma they batted 20 overs exactly, 20.1. The first ball that he faced of Jamieson, he edged. First time in his life, I believe, in a test match, he's faced Jamieson and he got out. 20 overs to last in England in that super cloudy, seeming condition. It's really commendable. Even in the second innings, like Rohan pointed out, Rohit was looking solid. See, sometimes openers, right, they get lucky. They're edgy, play and miss, you're not sure and things like that. But Rohit looked rock solid till that one ball. Unfortunately, he decided to, shoulder his arms. Even that was like an umpire's call, right? Both impact was outside the line and hitting the outside of the off stump as well. So yeah, I thought Rohit Sharma was good. And I hope Gill is not further confused by Kohli's statements. I hope he doesn't get corrupted and plays his natural game. Gill really is a long-term sort of a player. Yeah.
All right, then. That was an exciting discussion on the ultimate test. I loved the insights and the emotion that came out, from Salim and Rohan. Let's see. Um, let's look ahead now and discuss more about the England-India Test series coming up. I know we're more than a month away, but does this give us Indians, the time to reflect and regroup and fight better, or will the momentum continue from the ultimate test back for us Indians? Rohan, your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't think there is any momentum, right? If anything, we are just going backwards. Even if we were to play against England back to back, we have just basically gone backwards. The fact that we have 40 odd days before our first test match of the series with England is played will basically mean that we will start from a clean slate completely, and again completely Jimmy Anderson and co, right, will basically blow our top order away. Hopefully not, but I think they will, because again we'll be very close to the end of summer by then, and by then again we will see more overcast conditions again. So yeah, I expect that test series to be quite a well contested test series. Some young and exciting talent from England will be a part of it, which I'm really excited about as well. I really hope that Hasib Hamid gets to play at least one of those matches, right? Um, and I also hope that eventually they get around to giving a match to Chris Wokes in red ball format, right? And obviously, because they will still be opening with the left-hander, what's his name? Joe Burns, right? Ashwin will be a part of our plans. So Ashwin will play as long as he's fit. And I think at some point within the tour, we need to see how we can bring in other batters. Maybe somebody gets injured. I don't want them to get injured, obviously, right? We need to find a way in to accommodate Vihari, to maybe accommodate Mayank. He hasn't really done anything that wrong to be sitting out, right? He has actually done very well for India, right? KL Rahul is there within the squad as well. Maybe one of the matches we'll also see Shardul playing for us as well, as the seam bowling all rounder. Maybe hopefully the first match itself, Siraj will get to play, right? So we will see how it goes, and we will see whether Bumrah and co are able to learn and are able to trust the ball, letting it, letting the shine and the seam do the job rather than trying to hit it all the time. That's not how Test cricket works. That's not how a grassy, wet pitch, sticky wicket in England works. That's not what you do. You let the batters come on the front foot and you let them hit. If they don't hit, that means they are batting well. You have to make them hit. That is the challenge. Anyway.
Sure, Rohan. On Bumrah, do you think you can see some improvement and some fortune, in his role in the coming tests, or do you see, a further waning of his bowling?
So I think that if Bumrah is fit enough to play all the matches, right, that means he would have worked really hard, and there is fire inside him which wants him to carry on. And then I think a bowler of his class, his caliber, will adapt. He should have already adapted by now, but that is maybe we are expecting too much from them, right? Again, Ishant, Shami, and Bumrah. Out of these three, I fully expect them to be rotating, and maybe Siraj to be a part of pretty much every match that he can play. I think we might also see Umesh Yadav come in one of at least one of the matches. But again, I would like him to be picked for his ability to bowl full and straight and be able to swing, rather than as a backup for somebody who's injured, because I wouldn't really want anybody to be injured. If they want to play, if they're fit enough to play, if they can play, if they really have the fire in them to go out there and perform, they are in the squad, they can play. They should play. That's how I see it.
I see a few things that I see and which we should do is taking a lesson from our Australia tour is you have to maybe look at maybe a third of the team which is relatively fresh. You cannot play the exact same 11 that you played in the finals here in all the 5 matches. That is ruled out. I feel that for starters, Ishant has, I think he had a split webbing and injury. So Siraj gets in for him straight away, which is what should have happened anyway going forward. I mean, it should have happened, yeah, in the match as well. So Siraj for Ishant is one change. Maybe they could look at adding to their batting contingent by replacing Jadeja with Vihari. That could be one of the things they could do. Or maybe they add Shardul, then you have three proper pacers and you got Shardul, treat him as a fast bowling all-rounder, and you got Ashwin. That's the combination. And at the top, I think at some stage, I feel Pujara is on notice. If he does badly in the first two tests, he is definitely out. So Mayank for me fits in as number 3. He's anyway an opener. I wouldn't tinker around with the Gill Rohit partnership, at least for the first 2 tests. So
what about Ajinkya?
I think Rahane can still we can still trust him. He had one poor second innings, and but then again he's also on soft notice of sorts, I would say. That's it. Those are the changes that I would see. Maybe in some matches play Vihari, so 7 batsmen and 4 bowlers. Some matches instead of Vihari you play a Shardul. Trust his batting, and like Rohan mentioned, keep switching between the 3 pacers and Siraj. And then at some stage, you've got to get Mayank in as well.
Yeah. So if I may, I think one of the things that we actually saw, and I think we should learn from in Australia, is the benefit of having fresh faces in your 3rd and 4th matches, rather than having the same tired people play a really, really long series, right? That's the point that you were alluding to, Salim. So I think we also saw that in the New Zealand versus England series, the 2-match series. In the second match, New Zealand did not have to make any changes other than maybe 1 or 2 injury-related forced changes. They still made 6 changes. They comprehensively beat England after that, right? Not despite of that, because of that, I think. Because they were all just fresh and they had the fire in them, right? They're not tired, they're fresh, and they have obviously the ability and the willingness and the youth, because obviously typically these are all youngsters, right? Which is where I think we must learn from what happened in Australia. It was not just 1 or 2 freak performances. There is definitely merit in that argument that when you have a really long tour, have a big squad, recycle the team, rotate them around. It really, really helps, I think.
No, even in the India-England home series, if you remember, the guys who did well were Akshar Patel, Washington Sundar batted well in 1 or 2 tests. So that's the way forward, I think. We should think of that. And like you said perfectly, New Zealand won the second test, not despite, but because they got fresh faces. Perfectly summed up. That's how we won GABA as well, right? We keep saying, oh, we played a tier 3 team. But no, that was actually our number 1 team. I feel that team is better than this 11 that we played in the WTC, frankly.
Okay, so we've moved on from the ultimate test. So now, Salim, how do you see this, this enduring long 5-test series panning out? I mean, especially given that, India gave a solid thrashing to England in the home leg. What are your predictions for the series, and who do you think will be the top contenders from both the teams?
Look, I feel, first of all, the India thrashing England and India has 0 consequences or any linkages to this tour, because different conditions, different mindset, fatigue, bubble, or whatever you call it. So it's a clean slate, like Rohan said. I feel the first test will decide a lot of things. If we don't lose the first test, and I mean draw or win by some miracle, if we win, if you take the first test out, then the remaining 4 tests, I mean, if we don't lose the first test, then maybe it could be a 2-1 either ways, right? If we lose the first test, then surely we are losing 3-0 or even 4-0. I don't see us winning any other tests if we lose the first test, unless we make mass changes and one of the 4 remaining tests has decent weather, sun and all that. Any of the 5 tests, if we have conditions like we had in the WTC final, India is already on the back foot. So sticky wicket, wet wicket, India on the back foot, nice sun and all of that, it's 50-50. That's my prediction.
Great. Rohan, any thoughts?
No, I agree with that. So yeah, as I said, it is going to be another long series, and tough cricketing conditions. Well, I would say tough batting conditions every time the ball swings. So we must adapt, and we must make sure that we don't lose our 20 wickets, and then try to get their 20 wickets. So this is a different kind of a test match series. It's a different test.
Great. So
that should really be the theme. Try to bat as long as you can. Just take the result out of the first test. If not for anything, just look to bat 100 overs, 120 overs. That should be the goal. Because I think our bowlers are skilled enough, or whatever you call it, right, to get wickets eventually. It's our batters who are beginning to worry us.
all right, so I think we've had a good chat now, and maybe we'll connect in about a month's time as a preview to the test series. With a bit of a heavy heart of having lost the ultimate test, but we still take a lot of positives, and of course we all love Kane Williamson and New Zealand, and in that sense we really celebrated their victory as well. So it's been fun catching up, and we'll see you all soon. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Hey guys.